Hi everyone and welcome! I'm out gathering oats and I'm getting them at the green stage here, okay? I'm not even waiting for these to fully ripen. And the purpose behind that is because we're using these in soap. These are going to be the oats in my colloidal oats, in my Manuka honey oat soap. And why would I cut them at this young stage? Well, oops, I dropped those. There we go. Sorry, there are lots of birds making lots of noise right now. But the reason why I'm picking them at this stage is that I want these plants to put out again, and by taking these seed pods off, they will put out all new seeds. Those I will let fully ripen. They will be much hardier. They will be actually fuller. Drop those. They will be a more robust seed the second time around. And those I use in my Milky Oats tinctures. But at this stage, these are perfect for our soap, because by getting them when they're young and tender like this, and I slightly toast these, then dry them, grind them up, and for our soap, they are much more gentle, and you don't even have to grind them up nearly as fine as you would with a dried ripe oat. They will remain very, very soft, and as such, these are perfect for putting in our soap. And you'll see these grow all through here. That's all inland oats, and it goes all the way back along the fence line here on this side. It's just a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful plant. And let me go ahead and collect more of these so that we can get them inside and get them processed. So this part's not terribly exciting. I do like to show what I do as much as I can. It's a little tricky sometimes filming these sort of things because I'm one person and I don't have probably the right kind of camera equipment to do this sort of thing. So here, at least in this part of the video, I'm just using my phone to film it. But basically, I dry my oats, and these I'm not toasting. I was going to, but decided because these were so young that that would actually just make them a little more rough. So I just simply dried them in the dehydrator. They come right off the stalks very easily so that I can grind them in the coffee grinder. And I do the entire oat. You will see here it's not just the inner seed but the hulls as well. It adds a very nice gentle exfoliation to the soap. Don't worry. Because these are so young, this very, very, very tender. These grind down to a very, very smooth powder and work very well. Unlike if you buy store-bought oats and try to grind them up like this in a coffee grinder or in a food processor, you're still going to get a pretty rough or certainly rougher than a colloidal oat, where these, I call these colloidal oats because they are from the very young full oat and they are very, very soft. I'm very fortunate in that I get my Manuka honey from a very dear lady who I owe a debt of gratitude to in New Zealand, who actually sent me honeycomb as well as the honey. So I have actually melted 1 to 1.5% of my oils in honeycomb in my oils, and it gives just that little extra something. Some people believe that it makes a harder bar. And I think you would have to use maybe a little bit more than I'm using for it to do that. And if you get a bar too hard, yes, you'll get a long-lasting soap, but on the same token, it takes a lot more work to get that soap off and get it on your skin. You want it off the bar and get it on your body, right? Or on your washcloth. So it is a balancing game. So if you're going to use something like beeswax in your soap, be careful about how much you add. And some people do use more. They have a right to do that. That's one of the great things about doing this. My goat milk is very, very fresh, and the lye solution, I waited till it just got it melted, because of course you have to freeze it to keep it from burning, and I tried to add it to there while it was still really hot, because that beeswax can solidify and separate, and you end up with hard bits of it. So I had it just to the perfect temperature, and therefore this was a very smooth and successful blend. I will tell you something that I have said to many other people in my life when it comes to this particular soap. And that is that people ask me, oh, and by the way, I do heat my Manuka honey in 30-second bursts about 4 times in the microwave to make it more pourable, because it's a much thicker honey and can be a little tricky. And the reason I'm dipping it here and doing this is because I want to get every last bit, and then I actually scrape it out, because I don't want to leave a single drop of that Manuka honey out. And I'm adding Manuka honey at a much higher percentage than perhaps many people do. I believe that many people suggest use a tablespoon per pound, and I'm using about 3 tablespoons per pound in this, which is, I don't know, I just like to push the bar a little bit. But where I was going with my thought was that people have asked me, how does this have such a nice scent to it without adding any artificial oats or honey fragrances to it? And I will tell you that I believe a lot of it is because of the amount of honey that I use, because it's fresh goat milk, and because I'm using fresh oats as well, which I oftentimes do in this particular soap. And I believe that is why you can get that oaty, milky, honey smell from the soap. Is it strong? No. Is it going to be as wonderful as some of those fragrance oils out there? That probably not. It's not going to be that, but it still does have a fragrance, and one that I happen to like very much, and it seems that a lot of my customers do as well. Is my soap superior to the next person's soap? Nope, I'm not going to say that, because I haven't tried their soap. You know, there are a lot of people that make tremendous soaps out there, and there's enough room for all of us. There really is. And there are going to be people out there who make soaps that are more cleansing. There are going to be people out there that make soaps that are more moisturizing. There may be folks out there that make soaps that last longer. There may be folks that make soaps that wash away really fast. And all sorts of variations. There are going to be people that use a lot of botanicals. There's a reason why I don't put oats on top of my soap, and it's very pretty. And just like I could cut these oats that I showed you, and I could place them on top of the soap, dry them, put them on top of the soap, I'm sure it would be quite lovely. The problem with that is when you use it in the tub or the shower and those oats get wet, they're outside the soap. They're not inside where the high pH is. So those colloidal oats and things that are inside the soap are protected from mold or mildew or anything because of the high pH. But those that are exposed to air, that are on top, when those get wet and stay wet for a period of time, you can get mold growth, you can get several things that are very unattractive. And I love botanicals on top of soaps. I think it's one of the most beautiful things. My mother loved those things too. But I just be aware that if you're going to have those, I strongly suggest that if you're going to use the soap, remove the botanicals. Take a knife and cut that top layer off. Keep that in to put it in your drawer as a sachet to fragrance your socks or whatever, right? And then use the rest of the soap. I wouldn't suggest using it with botanicals or anything like that in your soap. Now, if you're going to dry it and really dry it, make sure it's really thoroughly dry, you're probably going to avoid that problem. But unfortunately, most people don't do that. They may keep the soap up, on a soap saver of some type, but the top of the soap does need to dry out at least for a full 24 hours to make sure that those botanicals dry completely out too. So I just don't put them on for that purpose, because I just don't want people to have to deal with that, that kind of thing. Didn't it come out nice? I think it did, and I'm sorry about the flare there from the camera. It is intentional, and I'm going to tell you why. Over on the far right there, where you see the brightest flare, is a recipe, and it has some information in it that's proprietary to the person that I'm custom making a soap for, with some special ingredients for them, and their name and stuff is on there, and I just didn't want any of that information to be visible. I should have moved it. I didn't even think about it when I was cutting the soap that it was there, so that was my boo-boo. So I had to kind of create a flare all over there to kind of disguise that a little. So, and if anyone's very clever, I'm sure they can figure out a way to make that visible, but hopefully that's not, somebody has something better to do with their time. Hope you enjoyed this, everyone. This one's a lot of fun for me to make. These will be available in early August. Thanks so much, and have a beautiful day. Goodbye.